Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. If you're after an EDC bag that is a great all-rounder that you can take between the office to out and about in the countryside or even use as a range bag, stay tuned to find out more about the Tasmanian Tiger Support Pack Roll VT. No, yeah, I've already done that bit, haven't I? Let's not put it around the back, let's keep it here. So, video's coming to you a little bit late today. Normally this would have gone live last night, but it's going live tonight, so apologies about that. Sometimes life just fortunately gets in the way. But this is something that has definitely not got in the way over the last 2 or 3 months. If you follow me on Instagram, hey, Moorlander_EDC on Instagram, you'll have hopefully noticed that I've been putting on lots of images of this bag, sorry. This is something that I've been testing for the last 2 or 3 months, and it's honestly been really easy to test. It's a great bag, sorry. So what we'll do now is I'll change the camera around a bit and we'll go through some of the features of the support pack from Tasmanian Tiger. So as I usually do, I'll go around the bag. So we'll start on the front, we'll look at the sides, the bottom, the back, and then we'll go into the insides. Straight off the bat, the bag is constructed from 700D Cordura all the way around, apart from the front. Now, there's a front flap here which is removable, which we'll look at in a second, and also it's the same material on the MOLLE section, which is laser cut MOLLE on the front. I've had a look on the Tasmanian Tiger website and it doesn't go into any specifics of what this material is made from, but it's very similar to the Hypalon material that you get. Now if you're new to Hypalon is, if you think about those rescue kind of dinghies that you see strapped to the backs of larger ships, that's what the inflatable section on those boats are made from. So it's super tough and trusted enough that, you know, people make boats out of it, or at least they inflatable boats out of it, so it is really nice and tough. All of the zips around the pack are made of YKK zippers, and they are the RC style YKK zippers, so you've got even more security that they will remain snag free. All of the plastics are Woojin plastics, so you know you can trust them to be exceptionally strong as well. So the front of the bag, you'll notice that it's quite understated. In fact, you have a small Tasmanian Tiger sticker here, which is in the coyote brown that this bag is. The bag comes in 3 different colours. You have black, you have OD green, and you have coyote brown, which is this version. All of the plastics for each of those are the same colour as well. So as I mentioned, it's nice and minimal on the front. Now, I haven't had particularly very many Greyman style bags in the past, but this is one of those style bags that if you wanted to keep it understated. You're taking this into the office, you want to kind of fly below the radar. This is perfect for that. Underneath the flap, you have a handle which is held down by hook and loop. That'll make a little bit more sense in a minute when I show you how this removes, because you have a handle on the front and handle on the back. But what that does is just make sure that it's not moving around whilst you're lifting the flap up and down if needs be. As I mentioned, you have a laser cut MOLLE front. You have two fixtures here. I always forget what these are called. These are just, I don't know, clasps. But what you also get is inside this front, and I've left these in here on purpose, that you also have 2 flat hooks. So what you can do is you can take this off and this off. These then go onto here, so that when you put it on, instead all you do is you hook it onto this, like that. I quite like these. It does give it a more flatter profile, but what I found is actually using it, that when you want to take them off, you just kind of struggle for that first bit. But also, and this is just me, but what I also like is the security of hearing this. When I'm walking around and I know that I haven't closed one of these properly, it's a noise that I've recognised that when I hear, I think, okay, I haven't closed my bag, so then I'll be able to close these up. Whereas when you have the flat hooks on there and you're just using them to clip onto this MOLLE here, or at least these webbing things that you can unfasten with hook and loop, I just find, for me, I know that it's open, and then I'll make sure that that's closed. Dimensions wise, what we've got is, from the length of the bag is 34 centimeters or 13 inches by 23 centimeters or 9 inches, and it's 10 centimeters or roughly 3.9 inches deep, which, you know, let's just call it 4 inches. So it's reasonably big, and as you can see, hopefully in a minute you'll be able to see exactly what you can fit in there. As far as actually in this section, you have a zip pocket here, if you can see in there. I generally keep the details of the stuff that I'm going to review so that I can check this out. So Tasmanian Tiger go into the fact that it's Cordura, but also you can see that they have this open factory, so that you can see, and they make sure that where these are manufactured, everybody's respected. So that's the front. This is the pocket here. You can see, hopefully you can see here, that it does go all the way up into the top. So if there's something that you want to fit in that's oversized, you can get it to fit in and then come up there. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you do that, but if you needed to, you know that it will definitely fit. It goes all the way down to the bottom where this seam is, all the way to the side where that seam is, and again, as I say, up to this top. That's the first bit of stitching that I've found that's just a bit rough. Now, I wouldn't say that it's rough, it's just one piece of stitching that's just hasn't been clipped. But as far as everything else is concerned, there's a couple of things I always check for. I really like stitching, and the stitching on this is immaculate. All of the lines, where the stress areas are, they're all double, triple stitched. And also, you know me, I like lining. So in here, this pack is completely lined. There's also lining from here onto the front as well. Not necessarily lining well, I suppose it is lining, but because you've got the laser cut MOLLE on here, you need to make sure that there is something between this laser cut MOLLE and the pocket on the front. What you also have in each of the corners is a small grommet to make sure that if any debris or anything is caught in here, it will then be able to release from those. As I say, this material feels very similar to high pull-on, so any water that comes on here will just run straight off the bag, but also if any water then does fall into here, it will also then seep from these grommets. So that's the front. Just close these up just for now so that they're not banging around. On the sides, now both of the sides are the same. On this side, hopefully you can see there that you get the little Cordura patch. This side is exactly the same, other than the fact that that little label's not there. So we'll look at this side for now. But you have a large 1.5 inch, I think it's 1.5 inch, let's check. Yeah, it's 1.5 inch buckle. So both sides are exactly the same in the fact that you can take these completely off. Let's just make sure this is nice and centered. Let's do that there, shall we? Yeah, that's nice. So you can take these off completely. I'm probably going around this. Then underneath there you have a large Velcro section, and then underneath that you have a large pocket that goes from roughly halfway down all the way down, and it's stitched across there to make sure that it doesn't go underneath the pack. In here, if you've got a small Moor knife, you can fit that in and it'll fit into the pocket, or as I've done on this side, maybe if you have a pair of scissors or some medical shears, you can pop them into there and then also use the elastic at the top to make sure that those shears don't come out. These are those electrical shears. I'll put a link at the end if you want to check these out. These are awesome, by the way. On the bottom, nothing on the bottom, nice and clean. On the back, you have a second handle. Now, as we mentioned on the inside, there is a handle on there, but it seems daft because you have this lid. You can't get to that handle. But as a nice surprise, which I'll show you in a second, actually, stuff it, let's do it now. You can actually take this off. So if you look, this bit pulls out, and then you can take this completely off. Now for the rest of the video, I'll take that off purely because it's just easier than trying to put it back on. But you've got hook and loop here on the inside, or at least this is the hook. Sorry, there is the loop and here is the hook. So you can make sure that that fastens straight against there to make sure that you're not going to get anything on the inside. Last little thing that's on here is a little zip section that you can put stuff into. Similar to the zip section, zip pocket on the front. It runs from the full left to the right, straight down to the bottom, but stops roughly an inch or two, or what's that? That's about 5 or 6 centimeters from the top. So it does. YKK zips. This one's a little bit more flat against the body, so if you wanted to put something in here, maybe a phone or some keys or a wallet, to make sure that this was maybe a little bit less noticeable and was harder to get to if you're worried about people getting into your bag, you've got that section on the back. There's no hook and loop in here, so just in case you were wondering whether this could be used for CCW, for any of our North American viewers, you possibly could do, but then your firearm is going to move around whilst it's in there. But I might be able to address that in a second. So last but not least, I suppose we'll go through the strap. The strap is really nice, 1.5 inch webbing. As I mentioned, you can fasten that on both sides, and on both sides hopefully you'll be able to see that you've got some elastic so that you can bring in all of that extra slack if needs be. Here's that other handle on the front, which with hook and loop fastens down, or if you want to take it away, you can see you can grab both handles, and I managed to make the table shake a little bit there as well. So moving on to the inside, just take that off for a second. You have one large zip. Now this is an ambi-open zip, so you have two super large, I think these are number 10s, if not the number 9s, but these are the YKK RC zippers, so they're very, very smooth. And you have this large section on the inside, so I'll take you through all the little bits in here. So recently I did a review on a bag similar to this, and one of my, not complaints, but just one of the things that I'd possibly change about it was there was very little organisation in the middle. Now with this bag, you get that and some. So hopefully you'll be able to see, I can fit an iPad Air in there. I can fit a full sketch pad, which here in the UK is A4. I guess the equivalent in the US is legal document size, I think it is. That fits in perfectly. So I call this the front of the bag because this will be the front that I would normally call the front. So in here, you'll be able to see, hopefully, as a ball just for throwing, why not? You have 3 large pouches. Now, if you were to use this as a range bag, then you can fit AR, you can fit AK magazines in here, and they fit perfectly. As I use this for EDC, then I can fit a small pouch for tools. I can easily fit in there a mobile phone charger, and I can put my mobile phone. I can put my car keys in there, and they're easy to get to. Because these are nice and big, because they're designed to have magazines in there, you know, you can easily put your whole hand in and you can grab it. So there's 3 of these. Now, as I mentioned, it's 35 centimeters across, so divide that, you know, they're roughly 12 centimeters, 11 centimeters each. On the inside, hopefully you can see there, it's all nice and lined. All of the stitching has reinforcements on the stitching. Everything is absolutely amazing. Here in the corners, hopefully if you can see that, you've got box stitching where all of the sections, or at least all of the stress points are. and as I mentioned, you know, it really is very, very well made. Now, I did mention that this back compartment here, or this back pocket, doesn't have any hook and loop in there if you did want to use this for CCW. However, hopefully you can see now that the whole of the back here has got hook and loop laser cut MOLLE on the back. If it is that you've got a firearm that you can attach on a MOLLE system, then you've got that. Whilst walking with it, you can pull it out straight away. If it is that you've got a hook and loop holster, then it will attach and you can put it in any of the sections here. So if you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows or columns of MOLLE, and then there's at least a dozen rows of MOLLE in there as well. So there's plenty for you to be able to decide how to use that. From an EDC kind of perspective, when I've got stuff that I have in here whilst I'm traveling, I know that I can have those in separate pouches, and I can attach them to each of those. Also, if I've got something that I use in something like the Tasmanian Tiger Modular 30, which comes with those hook and loop little pouches that you can do. You can take those out, put it straight onto the back there. I know that I've got my camera recording equipment, I know that I've got my graphic design equipment with me as well, so I can put them on and they're there straight away. And that really is everything on the bag. Now, is there anything that I've missed? Oh yeah, so one thing to point out as well. So the main compartment here, the capacity for this is 9 litres. So you can definitely fit a lot in there for EDC. So this is usually the point where I get to the end of my videos and I start to think to myself, is there anything that I would change about this bag? That's not to look at anything that is necessarily negative, it's just something that if you were thinking of adding this to your EDC, is it something that you'd be happy to work around? And generally for this bag, there's not really much that I'd change about it. It's a perfect EDC bag that you would have just with you. You know, it works in so many situations. I've travelled with this bag, I've been able to take it on as an additional bag. Generally it just kind of gets looked past. I'll have a rucksack on that goes over, and this bag will be at the front. I can get into it, I can get things out of it really quickly, and as I say, when I've been travelling with it, I've not had any issues whatsoever. As a bag that I've took around cities, again, it's absolutely perfect. It fits on the back. I generally have mine a little bit higher because I like to know it's there, I like to be able to touch it, but I also don't like it to swing down too low, so it works perfectly for this. But also with having this little flap on the front, I mentioned before, it's kind of quasi Greyman, because you can take this in somewhere and it generally just looks like a nice satchel that you'd be able to take into a professional office environment. One of the slight niggles, and this really is embarrassing that I have to mention this, so, and I will, because, you know, I embarrass myself all the time, and that is, yeah, I am going to say this. So on the inside here where you've got this laser cut MOLLE on the back, if your nails are slightly long, when you're doing it this side, you're reaching into it and the laser cut MOLLE is on the back, so generally the pads of your fingers rub down it. If you've got it off and it's on the side and you put your hand into it, it sometimes snags your nails. Yes, I just said that. The Moorlander doesn't cut his nails sometimes, and he's not embarrassed to say it. Although slightly embarrassed that this is now out to the world, that sometimes I get a little worried that my French manicure will chip. No, but other than that, this really is a great bag. It's something that I've been testing out for a long time, but in all honesty, I probably could have tested this out over a weekend because it has been super easy and actually quite enjoyable to test. So if you'd like to see more videos like this, then please feel free to hit that subscribe button and the notifications as well. You'll be able to get notifications as soon as videos come live. If you've liked this content, please feel free to hit that like button. You can follow me on Facebook at Moorlander EDC, or you can follow me on Instagram, which is generally where I tend to be more, at Moorlander_EDC. And that's about it. Hopefully should be able to bring something to you next Sunday rather than next Monday. And for me, don't forget to stay safe, stay Moorlander, stay EDC.